Okay, listen, have you ever done something so incredibly stupid in front of your parents that you can quite literally see the light leaving their eyes and you can't help but feel embarrassed by their disappointment? Turning 30, and for the next 30 days until my birthday, I'm gonna be telling you something embarrassing I did that I thought my dad was quite literally going to disown me for. I was like freshly 21. I went to my first festival ever and it was Governor's Ball. Look, I don't know who the governor of this ball was, but there was no laws at this festival, okay? I was acting like a feral fish out of water, just drinking everything in sight. Since this festival was in New York City, I had to bus it back to New Jersey, where I was living at the time, to my car. I'd like to preface this by saying I was never going to drink and drive and did not drink and drive. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was the DD. So with that in mind, the bus drops us off, right? And I still have my keys in my hand and I'm twirling them around. I got youth and the music just surging in me, just wishing this night would never end. Well, guess what, bitch? Wish granted, because the end was nowhere in sight. Ironically, in that moment, as I'm swinging my keys around, I am singing, let it go, and I quite literally let go of my keys into a sewer grate. In this moment, I am looking down at the grate. I'm looking back at my husband. He's looking back at me, and we are both looking at the grate at what I have just done at 2:30 a.m. Do I take full responsibility for dropping my keys into the sewer? Absolutely, all right? But do I blame Elsa just a little bit? Of course, okay? That bitch abandoned her sister and then she abandoned me. Honestly, not even Elsa could royally fuck herself the way I did to myself that night. Now we're both spiraling because not only are we trying to figure out how we're gonna get home, but I don't even own a spare key to be able to move my car. I also couldn't afford to leave my car there overnight and risk getting a ticket, okay? My money, like my ass, isn't stacked, all right? It runs a little flat. It's 3 a.m. now and we have no plan on how to get this key out, okay? And we tried everything. We tried reaching for it. We tried getting like a little twig to like fish it out. And you know what? If there was ever a moment that I believed that I could move shit with my mind, all right, it would reveal itself in this moment. And I would like to tell you that, you know, it was the alcohol that made me attempt to do it, but I'd be lying. The only logical thing I could think to do was every daughter's worst nightmare is have to call up their father in the middle of the night and tell them they are drunk and in trouble. Luckily for me, my dad had just come home from work, so he was able to help me so I wouldn't be abandoned on these streets, right? But unluckily for him, I was dressed as if he did abandon me on these same streets. Dad finally gets to us, right? He pulls up, takes one look at my husband, and then one look at me, and I can just tell that in his mind, I knew he wished he picked gay son. My dad turns to me and says, I need you to tell me word for word what happened here, okay? And when I was done saying what I was singing, what I was doing, and what happened, I could tell in my dad's soul that the keys weren't the only thing that was let go. See, in that moment, I don't know who was more embarrassed, right? Me for being an idiot and dropping my keys in a sewer and making my dad, who just came back from work, get on his hands and knees with a little contraption to try to fish out my keys, or for him for siring said idiot. And honestly, I think the latter is more embarrassing. Thankfully, he was able to get my keys out and forgive me for being an absolute dumbass. But unfortunately, he has never once forgotten. But so is dad, right? They can't even remember your best friend's name, but you fuck up one time and suddenly not even sweet dementia could get rid of that memory.